Judica County Radio, hosted by Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker & Hamer Law Firm, and practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. Offices in Morehead City, Gastonia, Fuquay-Varina, Goldsboro, Clayton, Garner, Cleveland, and the Cap City, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm Morgan Patrick. It is now time to slide into some legal questions, and these are some scenarios, and we'll see what our attorneys will do with them. And the first category is the farmer's solar lease. Here's the question, gentlemen. A farmer signed a 40-year lease allowing a solar company to install panels on 150 acres. 5 years later, the company was sold to another corporation located overseas. The new owner stopped making timely lease payments, but continues operating the solar farm. Can the farmer probably terminate the lease?
These solar panels, they come up for lawyers in a lot of ways. This is more of a commercial question. You know, a couple years back, you know, a lot of farmers who had farmland that wasn't being farmed, that wasn't maybe the best land for like a development, for like a subdivision, right? They were, these solar farms were getting built. I saw a ton of them. You probably did too, Joseph. No?
Yeah, I saw some. I definitely saw some, man.
You know, this is, it hadn't been as popular here lately, or at least I haven't seen as much, but there's these companies and they'll come in and sometimes they buy the land. In our question, they wanted to do a long-term lease. And so there was, you know, a farmer signed a 40-year lease with a solar company, and they installed solar panels on 150 acres. So it's a pretty big solar farm. The tenant, right? You got a landlord and a tenant. I feel like I'm in law school. You got a landlord and a tenant, right? Farmer's your landlord. This company that came in is the tenant. So this is a lease, right? This is very comparable to a residential lease, right? Where you rent out a room or you rent out your house. So it's the same principles. It's just in a commercial context. But, you know, your tenant here is a company. The company gets sold to another company. Company's not paying their rent. That's what this question's asking, I believe, right? They're not paying the rent. What can the farmer...
Well, I guess the question is can you just terminate, you know?
Yeah, you know, anytime we get these lease questions, anytime we get a question about a lease, what do we got to see the lease.
You got to see the lease.
You
got to see the lease. Yeah.
Yeah. So you
got to start sending your lease so we can read it front to back on air, and then
mark it up,
and then do a proper analysis. Yeah.
Well, if you're and again, this is fictitious, this is hypothetical, but if you're the new company, do you really think you can come in and continue to?
They may not know, right? I mean, if this was like a big merger or a big acquisition, you know, they may not know that a payment's not getting made. They may, you know, but most leases, most contracts, right? If you're in breach, that's what they are here, right? The new owner's not making the payment, they're not paying the lease payment, they're in breach. And most long-term leases, most long-term contracts, at the other side, if you find out they're in breach, right? The new tenant here may not know they're in breach.
Yep.
You know, it's a big company, a lot of moving parts. You usually have an obligation to tell the other side, hey, you're in breach. And you usually have a legal duty in these leases to give the other side an opportunity to, we say, cure the breach, right? So you say, hey, you're 2 months behind in rent. Here's your notice. You've got however many days, 10 days, 30 days to cure it. And so in these long-term agreements, usually it's not like you missed the rent by 1 day, we're done, you know, we're terminating. There's usually, you know, cure provisions, and then, you know, there's some other laws that kind of step in. But, you know, this is commercial landlord-tenant, but it's very similar to residential landlord-tenant, right? You rent a house, they don't pay rent, you got to give them notice usually under the lease. Hopefully you have a lease. Hopefully you didn't, you know, handshake deal it, but I don't like that question too much.
Okay, that's a great lead off. And now we'll shift to this one. The neighbor's giant oak tree, which is perfect because Raleigh is the city of oaks. And I would imagine that a lot of people have some oak tree situations. So here it is. Certified arborist told a homeowner that a massive oak tree, not just a normal oak tree, but a massive oak tree, was dying and posed a serious risk of falling. The homeowner did nothing because removal would cost $18,000. That seems cheap. 2 years later, the tree fell into the neighbor's home, causing $600,000 in damage. Does the neighbor probably have a strong claim?
We'll come back. I want to add one thing on to the last question. So I like this question, Morgan. This is a good question. We get a lot of tree questions, right, on the show.
Wait. We're going to stop and go back to the question you didn't want.
I just had this thought when you were reading that question of somebody driving around on Saturday or Sunday afternoon trying to dial us in and saying, hey, where are those two attorneys that talk about commercial landlord-tenant law? I really want to dial them. I want to dial them in for my Saturday afternoon commute. You know?
It really helps you focus while you drive, man. They've done studies, and it reduces the incidence of accidents by 8,000%.
I would imagine
if you're listening to us talk about commercial landlord.
I would imagine the average person on the street has a very low threshold for commercial landlord-tenant lease discussions. I would say 15 seconds tops.
You think so?
Yeah.
No, man. I think you underestimate how much people love it.
All right. So we get a lot of calls from people about trees. Everybody has trees. I love trees. Trees are only problems, right? Trees only cause problems for attorneys. There's a lot of statutes in North Carolina that exist just because of tree problems. There's a bunch of case law because neighbors had problems with trees. Morgan did a good job with this question, the neighbor's giant oak tree. So here, basically, we have a homeowner has a huge oak tree, and it's dying, right? A lot of times it's not obvious to the lay person when a tree is dying or when a tree is healthy, but apparently there were some problems. This guy knew enough to get an arborist out there. The arborist said, hey, this tree is dying. And $18,000 is a lot of money to get rid of a dying tree. And so this homeowner decided, no dice. We're not going to do that. And that happens all the time. So the point here is the homeowner knows without a doubt that this tree is dying. This tree is going to eventually fall. He's got, the homeowner has a problem here. So no, he didn't do anything for 2 years, and the tree fell in the neighbor's home, causing a lot of damage, $500,000 in damage. Does the neighbor probably have a strong claim? And the answer here is possibly, right? Because what has to happen here is the homeowner with the damaged house, he has to be able to prove the person who owned the tree knew or should have known the tree would fall, right? And it's not always obvious looking at the tree, right? So does this homeowner that got the damaged homeowner, does he know an arborist came out and evaluated the tree? I don't know what the damaged homeowner knows, but if the damaged homeowner knows that the person who owned the tree or owned the land under the tree knew, I'd imagine there's a claim there.
Yeah, this is a very different scenario than my neighbor's tree fell on my house randomly. No one knew of any issue. It was just a kind of a happenstance, and that's a much grayer area, right? You've got a lot more foreseeability questions and whether someone should have known that was a likely thing that could happen. But if you've literally had an arborist come out and everybody knows and they told you this tree's a problem, that gives you, it pours a lot of gas on that claim. Yeah, it makes it a lot more strong.
Yeah, if you got a tree in your backyard and a storm blows it over, that's act of God. You had no idea. Maybe it's in the, we got.
Can't sue God.
Yeah, he doesn't like it. He doesn't respond to complaints.
No, yeah, exactly.
But no, it's a good. That's a question that comes up a lot for folks.
Complimentary consult with Whitaker and Hamer. Estate planning, personal injury categories are available to you. No cost, no obligation. Call the number 919-772-7000. That's 919-772-7000. You can also visit wh.lawyer. Get signed up there. Again, we get into legal questions each and every week, and you've got questions about estate planning and personal injury. You can call 919-772-7000 or visit wh.lawyer for those complimentary consults. We've got more Judica County legal questions coming up. Welcome in to Judica County Radio. Your hosts are Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, and practicing attorneys right here in the great state of North Carolina. They have placed offices across the state in Raleigh, Garner, Cleveland, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay-Varina, Gastonia, and Morehead City for your convenience. I'm Morgan Patrick. It is a pleasure to jump on with the attorneys. We're going to get to some legal questions here in just a little bit, but also during the course of the show, we have complimentary consults with Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm in and around estate planning questions, as well as a personal injury case that you might be in and you've got some questions. Grab one of those consults. You can always call 919-772-7000. That'll get you in touch with the firm. 919-772-7000. Just say, hey, I want one of the consults. We want to come in. You can also visit the website, wh.lawyer. All right, before we do questions, we always ask, Josh, how did the week go and what's on your mind, which is a dangerous question.
It can be sometimes, but not always. So this week I've been thinking about, we're all here. Are we? On the older side, right? I mean, we're not young spring chickens, right? I mean, we're not 1 foot out of the, 1 foot in the grave type of deal.
Are you talking about everybody that's listening right now?
No, everybody in studio. I'm talking about everybody in studio.
All right, okay.
Yeah, well, Joe's got more runway, but yeah, we're all getting old. We're all getting old.
Slightly more runway.
So I was thinking my oldest kid is filling out all this stuff for football and for, for starting to think about colleges, and he's getting asked a lot these questions. They ask him a bunch of different questions. And one of the questions is, what are your hobbies? All right. He's had that question a time or two. And the only reason I know is he came to me and he's like, I don't know what my hobbies are. And we worked through that. He's got plenty of hobbies, right? You're a kid. You don't know. But he likes to fish, and, he's got all kinds of hobbies. But it made me think, we're kind of in the thick of it. We've all got kids of different ages and, powering through that middle-aged. Anyway, the point of this whole story was...
We're waiting for that.
What are your hobbies? Do you have hobbies? As a middle-aged man with kids and work, and do you have even one hobby?
Joe.
Why me first, man?
Because you're the co-host of the show.
Yeah, I play. That makes you make a fantastic point as always, Morgan. I got plenty of hobbies, man. I play some basketball still. That's a hobby. That's a thing I do. That counts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. So. You know.
Yes.
so here's where my mind was. Like I played some basketball this weekend. Basketball's fun.
Really?
I did.
Thanks for the invite, man.
It was just we were at the Y. It just
I feel like I've been cheated on.
Do you have ice bags on your knees right now?
It hurt, man. I played 3-on-3 with my boys.
Dominate?
And some other children. No.
Did you teach the children who's boss?
No, but at half court, man, my knees hurt so badly. Anyway, back to my point.
Yeah.
You can just if I'm talking and you're listening to me, you can assume my knees hurt in some shape or form.
Okay.
But I don't know if basketball counts as a hobby. Like that's something you do to be active. I don't know that you can count. Like when I think hobby, we've got a couple in these questions today. That's kind of what got me thinking about it. Like one guy collected baseball cards, one collected trains, right?
So okay, so you're saying basketball is more of an activity as opposed to.
So we can't. Okay, I can remove that from my list. I apologize.
I was gonna say golf,
and maybe I'm constraining this question too much, but that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, for sure you are.
Because maybe being being
doubt.
physically active, that is a hobby. I was thinking like woodworking, I don't know. I was thinking about stuff like that.
I don't work
collecting something. Yeah.
I don't collect many things.
Yeah.
Well, now I feel bad. Now I'm going to dive into a deep state of depression. And I'm real busy, man. Aren't you real busy?
Yeah, man.
That's a lot of kids.
Do you like to read? I mean, is there a particular book that you've read lately that you really like? I mean, reading's a nice hobby.
It's fundamental.
Now you're gonna make me feel dumb, man. I haven't read any nice books lately. I should.
That's a whole nother.
I haven't.
That's a whole nother topic, man. That's a whole nother topic for another day.
I watch Sports Center.
That's my hobby. Does anybody do that anymore?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. I used to read.
You don't need to.
I used to read all the time. I was
talking about Sports Center. I wasn't talking about reading.
Oh.
Yeah, I was talking. Yeah, surely people read. I know that.
Come on, you got to read. You go out to eat, you read the menu. You're reading.
I don't know if have you watched Sports Center lately? Like this time of the year, you can't watch Sports Center right now. It's terrible.
No. The kids have, they're barely out of diapers telling us about sports. So different. So anyway, the whole point of this is I think as kids maybe you have hobbies, and my oldest is super busy. That senior year is a real busy year for the kids these days, and we're real busy. That's what I was trying to think about. Do we really have hobbies, or do we not get a hobby until you retire and then you get a hobby? Well, maybe your kids are your hobby. I mean, think about that.
Maybe
spend a lot of time there.
Yeah.
Maybe
True.
But but if someone gave me a questionnaire now and they said, "What are your hobbies?" I'd be like,
Is that what you'd write? Just UHHH.
I like to sit in my
repeating.
I like to sit in my chair. That's fun.
That's a good.
That's a thing.
I like the inner tube and a cigar and the lake.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, it was just perplexing to me because no one has asked me that question. But if somebody asked me that question, I don't know what I would say. But anyway,
that kid had hobbies though, right?
Yeah. It's just when you're a kid,
so that counts.
Yeah,
man.
live
if your
through
kids
your
have
kids.
hobbies, you can just live by. You can count those. You can give. I will say that when someone asks you if you have hobbies, you can give them your kids' hobbies. And
you tote them to practice and you tote them home.
Yep.
I mean, that's a hobby.
When I get a chance to pick a hobby, right? I don't know if you choose a hobby or a hobby chooses you, right? I don't know how it works, but when I get a chance to have a full-time hobby, I want to choose like the weirdest, most obscure hobby ever.
Yeah.
Someone put some thought into that.
Give us an example.
Like chrome plating things. That'll be like, that's a weird hobby. Who does
Chrome
that?
plating things? What are you going to chrome
Give me
plate?
that hat. I'll chrome plate it for you.
Didn't you mention blacksmithing one time? You mentioned blacksmithing.
Maybe.
I kind of like that, man. I can get behind
A
that.
useful hobby where I can make something, give it to people. Gardening, that's a hobby, right? Growing stuff. Some people do that.
Activity / hobby. It's kind of like golf, I think.
The law is my hobby.
So let me ask you this, guys. Since you're attorneys and you're very established, obviously, with Whitaker and Hamer, when you're out and you're just being Joe or you're just being Josh, I mean, do you get hammered with legal questions because people know what you do?
Great. I don't.
I mean, it's part of the gig. I get it.
If people know what I do, I mean, they'll ask me questions. But like, if I just go somewhere, I'm not leading. Like, I'm not busting in the room like I'm an attorney. You
don't have a T-shirt that says "Lawyer in the house."
No, I don't have that.
Real incognito. Yeah, I don't think if you saw me and Joe outside the office, you would really even know we were functioning members of society. And our T-shirts and our hats and our.
I'm wearing a T-shirt and a hat right now, man.
I put on a polo for this thing, for this show.
I love it. You and Morgan look great.
High class radio show.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got complimentary consults. Josh, walk us through exactly what's going to happen if they grab one of these.
Yeah, here at the law firm, we have a lot of different practice areas. We have a lot of different attorneys. On the radio show, when we come to you, we want to offer you free consults. And so we do that in two main areas that we do that. So, you'll hear us talk about estate planning a lot. So if you're looking at a will or a trust, or you have some questions about, what that looks like, power of attorneys. Right now we got a lot of high school graduates whose parents are working with them to get power of attorneys done. So that kind of thing, we do a free consult. And of course, if you've been in a car accident, we work with a lot of folks who've been in a car accident, help you get ready, valuing your case, what to do with the insurance company. And so if you're in that situation, we offer a free consult. So those are the free consults that we've been doing.
Okay, there you go. Call our number, 919-772-7000 for one of those consults. Again, no cost, no obligation, 919-772-7000. You can also visit the website, wh.lawyer, 919-772-7000, wh.lawyer. We've got more Judica County coming up. Legal questions right around the corner. on Judica County Radio. Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, your host, are the managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, the power behind the program. They're also practicing attorneys here in North Carolina. Offices placed across our great state: Raleigh, Garner, Cleveland, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay-Varina, Gastonia, and down at the coast, Morehead City. I'm Morgan Patrick. Pleasure to jump on. We're getting into legal questions, but we also give you an opportunity for a complimentary consult with the firm in and around estate planning if you've got questions there, or if you've been involved with a personal injury case and don't know what to do next, or you've just got some questions, grab one of the consults. 919-772-7000. That's 919-772-7000, or visit the website wh.lawyer. You can get signed up there. Next question, guys. We'll do one real quick one here. This is Sprint. The college roommate agreement, that's the category. Here's the question. 3 college students signed a 1-year apartment lease together. One moved out after graduation but continued paying rent. The remaining roommates allowed another friend to move in and collect rent from him without telling the original tenant. At lease end, the landlord sued all 3 original tenants for damages. Does the original roommate probably remain liable?
So this, it's that time of year where college kids are moving in and out, of different apartments, different houses, and so you who's on the lease is important, right? Sometimes you see these college kids and one kid will be on the lease, but he or she will have 4 bedrooms, and they'll have their friends stay there for a while, or somebody goes overseas but their name's on a lease with a roommate, and that roommate rents out the room. You got to be careful. Anytime you're subleasing, you're supposed to have the approval of the landlord. If you're renting a room, you're supposed to have the approval of a landlord. You really got to look at your lease. And some of these rental leases I saw one the other day, it was like 86 pages, to rent an apartment. And
that's your hobby, reading.
Oh my God, that would be the worst hobby. That'd be the worst hobby ever. But you just have to be careful. If you're on the lease, you're liable.
Yeah, I think it's as simple as that. That's as simply as you could put it.
And if
whether you move out, if you're not removed from that obligation in some fashion, which would require something in writing,
yeah.
Right? You're gonna have to have something in writing. You need to plan on having to pay.
Yeah, if your landlord can release you, your landlord can do a new lease. Your landlord your landlord has to release you from liability, and if you have not been released from liability, removed from the lease, you're still on the hook. And so here, this one roommate on the lease, moved away, and was still paying rent, but the other roommates let other people live there. They're going to get sued for any kind of damage. They're still on the lease. I don't think a lot of college students are probably smarter than I was when I was in college. But I did not understand lease law when I was in college, and anyway, liability is still there, and gotta be careful.
Careful indeed. And again, legal questions, we hit them. You've got your own situation. You can certainly grab one of our complimentary consults in and around estate planning if you got questions there, or personal injury. Come on in and grab one of the complimentary appointments. Again, it's a consult, 919-772-7000. That's 919-772-7000. You can also visit the website wh.lawyer, and there are plenty of offices for Whitaker and Hamer that you can visit, and they placed them all over the state. Again, you've got Raleigh, Garner, Cleveland, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay-Varina, Gastonia, and in Morehead City. Again, grab one of those complimentary consults, 919-772-7000, or visit wh.lawyer. We got more Judica County coming up. Judica County Radio, hosted by Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, and they practice law right here in the great state of North Carolina. Offices convenient for you in Raleigh, Garner, Cleveland, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay-Varina, down near Charlotte and Gastonia, and down at the coast, Morehead City. I'm Morgan Patrick. Pleasure to jump on with the attorneys. We are in the middle of some legal questions. And again, these are scenarios. Let's get to this one, guys. The antique tractor collection. That's the category. Here's the question. A father promised each of his 4 children a specific antique tractor from his collection. Nothing was ever written down. After he passed away, all 4 wanted the same rare John Deere worth $180,000. The will simply says, divide my personal property equally. What probably happens in this case?
When we talked about our free consults, the firm does a lot of estate planning, and the other side of that coin is estate administration, right? When you're alive and well, you put your estate plan together, and then when you pass away, your estate plan gets executed, right, by the people, the fiduciaries you put in place. We help a lot of those fiduciaries. We assist them in executing your estate plan. And here we have a father who had an estate plan. He had a will. And when most people die, Joe, when most people die, your personal property, if you take cars and boats and RVs, attorneys always talk about real property versus personal property. So real property is, of course, land, houses, things like that. Your personal property, minus your vehicles, your boats, your RVs, usually your personal property, not super valuable. Would that be your opinion, Joseph, too?
I mean, unless your hobby is collecting,
right?
Something very rare and very valuable.
Yeah, sometimes.
Or you have a $180,000 John Deere tractor. Good Lord, man.
And this is a big collectible, and we asked that question.
Is that what the tractor market is looking like these days? I don't know, man.
I'm sure, like if it's old and rare enough and working. I don't know a lot about antique tractors. I don't know very much about them.
Well, there you go, man. New hobby unlocked.
But here, you've got a valuable $180,000 is valuable in anybody's estate, and personal property and wills. A lot of times, personal property is dealt with like what's happening in this will. Just say, hey, divide my personal property equally. Sometimes you'll see in a will, it'll say, hey, I'm gonna keep a personal memorandum where I list who I want to get certain personal property. I want my executor to honor this list. Here we don't have anything like that. If I had sat down with this gentleman, one of the questions I usually ask when we're putting together an estate plan, we talk about, hey man, what's your investment accounts look like, 401k, what kind of real property do you own? We talk about all that stuff, but one of the questions I always ask is, hey, do you have any valuable collections? Because I've run into people that collect guns, right? Collect baseball cards, but have valuable personal property. It's not the norm. Usually at the end of life, in a life situation, most people don't have, your personal effects aren't really worth a lot. Usually jewelry, right? Some people have really expensive jewelry. That's watches, things like that. But here, what's going to happen is that's why you really need, your executor, right? Our guy just has a will here. He doesn't have a trust, so we're not talking about a trustee. Here, we're talking about the executor. That's the one who will is charged with distributing the estate.
Distribution of the property. Yeah. Okay.
And so they're going to have to figure out what to do. And so this person's the executor's going to have to do an inventory, probably get someone who knows what they're doing to appraise these things. And if the heirs won't agree on how to split this stuff, I think the executor is probably going to sell it, right? Sell it and make an even distribution.
Yeah, I mean, from the outside, and again, I'm not an attorney, it just seems like dividing evenly between the 4 is the key phrase, and then you just appraise it, auction it, sell it, however you're going to do it, and then combine all the tractor sales and divide it 4 ways.
And that's what the executor is going to have to do unless the heirs come to some other agreement. I'm assuming this person, if they had this much invested in this personal collection, there's probably some assets where executor doesn't really care about emotional value. Executor is really just charged with making sure everybody gets the same amount of monetary
equal share. Yeah. So I think the tip there is, you touched on it. You've got specific bequests and your residuary when you have an estate. And a specific bequest is any specific thing. So in this instance, it would be, like you said, it's that tractor. If you want that to go to someone, you got to specifically state it, because anything that's not specifically given is going to be tied into the residuary. And like you said, that the executor is just going to be looking to distribute whatever's there equally among everyone. So yeah, if you want someone to have your super duper fancy tractor, you need to make sure that's specifically stated ahead of time.
All right, well, let's get to this next question. It's the charity golf tournament. That's the category, and we've all played in these, so this could bring back some interesting memories. Here's the scenario. A nonprofit hosted a charity golf tournament. During a sponsored helicopter golf ball drop, a ball struck a spectator, causing serious injuries. Wow. The nonprofit had insurance, but the helicopter contractor did not. Who probably gets sued?
I've never seen a helicopter golf ball drop.
Yeah, I haven't either. It sounds super dangerous.
Sounds awesome.
If you've ever been in the vicinity of a golf ball that's been hit and it's coming at a high rate of speed, it is not fun. But yeah, I've heard of them dropping other things, but things that don't really wouldn't be significant if they struck a person. A golf ball's a big deal. So if this happened, I mean, again, hypothetical, this is pretty serious.
Yeah, the person who's got a serious injury here, they're going to hire an attorney. That attorney, I mean, the answer to this question is pretty easy. Everybody's going to get sued.
Yeah, sue everybody.
Yeah, an attorney's not going to care. Anybody who's potentially liable is going to get sued, and then if you don't think you're liable. Right. So like if the charity, if the nonprofit had an agreement with the helicopter company that the helicopter company was going to indemnify them, maybe you get out of it, but anyway, no, everybody's getting sued. Everybody here probably is going to have some liability, I would think. And, it always is terrible when it's a nonprofit, or when it's a charity, but if someone's hurt, right. If somebody's negligent and they get hurt as a result, that's what this is. This is like a car accident case. This is a negligence case. And so the helicopter guy was negligent. The nonprofit, is probably going to have some liability there. But
what about, the helicopter, he was instructed by the charity to do the golf ball drop. So is he still going to be...
Well, he still has a duty of care in exercising that,
True.
That's, he still has, everybody's got a responsibility not to injure the public, and so even though he was specifically requested to do it, he has to do it the right way. He can't just kill someone with a golf ball to the head.
We all have a duty of ordinary care. So even if he was hired to do this, if I don't know, this is such a weird thing. It's easier when it's like an everyday thing that everybody deals with. This, I don't know what the safety, what a normal ordinary person would do for safety precautions for a golf ball drop.
We need to get a helicopter ball drop engineer in to the studio to discuss this.
So is this where the helicopter just drops a whole bunch of golf balls? Is that what that is like, when they do the candy drops for Halloween, they just drop a bunch of candy on a field and let the kids go get it?
No, what it is they probably purchased a golf ball. They have their name on it. They drop it from the helicopter, and the ball that goes in a said hole or wherever closest to, they pick that ball up, and that person wins whatever the prize was. That's my guess.
What if two balls go in the hole?
Now you're asking the real questions.
I split it probably. It.
Yeah, something like that. So I do have we don't have a lot of time here, so maybe I'll ask the question coming up on the other side, which I will do in and along. Just remind me, because it's something that happened at a golf tournament that I was involved with years ago, and it's about property damage. So I was going to ask you that question, but we need to do that on the other side. So let me quickly hit, again, consults, complimentary, estate planning, a personal injury case you might be facing. Got some questions. Grab one of the consults, 919-772-7000, 919-772-7000, or visit the website, wh.lawyer. We've got more Judica County coming up on the other side. Judica County Radio. We are back. It's Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, your hosts. They're the managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm. They practice law right here in North Carolina, and they have offices all over the state: Raleigh, Garner, Cleveland, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay-Varina, Gastonia, and in Morehead City. I'm Morgan Patrick. Pleasure to be on and hitting some of these legal questions, guys. And the last one we did was the charity golf tournament question about the golf ball drop. Somebody was injured, and we got to that. But I have one that's a little closer to home. I was involved with a charity tournament years ago where on the par 3 hole-in-one, the prize was a beautiful Chevy Camaro IROC Z. And it sat off to the right, well off to the right, in the woods, but it had a sign on the window that said, "In the hole wins the car," right? So we get up to this par 3, and again, it's halfway through the day, so a lot of people have taken shots. Nobody's won the car. It's very, the odds are obviously not in your favor, but it's fun, and it's for charity, and they have insurance. And so I get up, and I was a pretty new person to the game of golf, and so I hit what I thought was a really nice tee shot, and it immediately started to slice right. And the right side of the green is where the car is located, but it's well off the path that to the green, so they didn't think anything about it. And they put it in the woods, and it's got this nice sign on it. And the ball goes and hits literally in the middle of the windshield and bounces off. Now, the good news is the sign was on the outside of the car. There was no damage. But my question is this: if indeed I damaged the car with my golf shot, am I liable?
I wouldn't think so. Yeah.
No, man. No, we got you, Morgan. Don't worry.
I would be calling.
Yeah, we got you on that one.
No, if it's in the, you got to assume some people like you, Morgan, are not great golfers. And
wait. This was back then.
This is before you got really good.
This could happen.
Come a long way since then.
Yeah, so that's I think they would have assumed the risk, right? Because that's negligence, right? If they sued you, they would accuse you of negligently hitting the ball into the car. There's a few defenses to negligence. Your defense would be what we call assumption of risk. They assume the risk by putting the car in a place where you could reach it with a golf ball, right?
Okay.
Because I would have probably hit it.
Yeah.
If I wasn't trying, right? If I was trying to hit it, I would never hit it. But
I can. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. The safest place to put the car would be on the green next to the hole.
That's right.
At that point in time. Nowadays, I could probably hit it. But anyway, I just wanted to wrap that up. Now I can sleep better at night. All right, I've got another question for you guys. The family LLC is the category. Here's the question. Parents placed a beach house into an LLC with their 3 children. After both parents passed, one child began renting the property every weekend and keeping all the rental income because she handled the bookings. The operating agreement is silent on rentals. Can the other siblings probably demand an accounting?
The answer is yes, right?
Yeah.
The answer is yes. But we see this a lot, where families want to keep land or a beach house or a lake house or a farm, in the family, and everybody in the family is clear that was the intent. But then people start dying, right? And so where the family beach house had maybe the parents owned it, the grandparents owned it, 80 years ago, 60 years ago, and they both died. And so now, 3 or 4 kids own it, right? And then those kids start dying off, and now you've got those grandkids are starting to come up and own it, and these things get real messy. The more owners you have, and here this is great, right? This is what an attorney would tell them to do. Like, hey, start a business, start an LLC, a family LLC, and the property's in the LLC, and put somebody in charge, a managing member. But they can't keep I don't know why this person would think they could keep the rent. Anybody who, an owner of an LLC is a member. We call it a membership interest, right? So if we were all in this LLC, me, Joseph, and Morgan, we would all be 1/3 members. We'd all have a membership interest. Unless the operating agreement said something different, we'd all have equal rights to profits. We'd all be equally responsible for losses. We'd all have equal access to the property. If we decided we wanted it to be a rental, that rental income would get split up. So here one of the siblings keeping all the rental income of a beach house because he or she's doing the work, handling the bookings. That's not good. You can't do that. She's
Can't do it. Yeah.
You know, he or she is stealing money from the other members, and so there's a lot the siblings could do here in this family LLC problem, but this comes up a lot, when we have family land that's valuable that people want to keep in the family. So
what you mean, money comes in between family members? Does that happen?
it does a lot.
It happens a time or two, Morgan.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't.
You'd be surprised.
Can't we all just get along?
Sometimes it doesn't. And then the sibling here who's putting in the work, they might be due a salary, right? They might, maybe they're entitled to a 1/3 cut of the profits, but they're doing all the work. So I would go back, if I was that person, I would go back to the other children and I would be like, hey, I'm doing all the work here. I should get a little something extra, and they would probably agree. But just deciding you're entitled to it and taking it, that'll get you in trouble.
Yeah. And sounds like a solution there. But again, these things happen. These legal situations do crop up, and you may have a situation that you're dealing with and you've got questions. Grab one of our consults in and around estate planning or maybe a personal injury case by calling 919-772-7000, 919-772-7000. You can also visit the website wh.lawyer. All right, here's the next question, guys. The category, the wrong funeral plot. Here's the question. A cemetery accidentally buried someone in a plot that had been purchased decades earlier by another family. The mistake wasn't discovered until another family member passed away years later. What probably happens in this case?
This is a really bizarre question. The cemetery is going to be liable. I would think. That it was a mistake. It was an accident. Sure. But yeah, this is there's liability here for sure. This is one of those situations we run into this a lot. We're having a litigation consult with somebody. Something's happened like this, not like this, but something like this, right? Where somebody's clearly made a mistake. There's clearly some liability. The situation like this, it's what do you do? Right? And this is kind of this is like a Scooby-Doo type situation, right? You're not gonna dig up you don't really want to dig up a family member and relocate the family member, I would imagine. Maybe you do. I don't know. I don't even know what I don't deal with that a lot, so I don't even know what's legal in that situation, what you can and can't do. But
you don't do a lot of body removal law.
That's all we're gonna do from now on. We're not gonna do anything else.
We are, and that's all we're gonna talk about.
Yeah,
no more commercial landlord tenant.
Nah.
We're talking straight cemetery law.
We're gonna focus our areas of practice straight on accidentally buried in the wrong.
Yes.
Yeah, that's how we're gonna make all of our money.
I tell you that.
Here, and again, this is kind of a weird circumstance. You're not going to hopefully run into this very often, but there are situations where someone's done something wrong. They've caused you damage, but like here, what's the monetary value of this damage? Right? What's the if you sue, the cemetery has buried your family member in the wrong place. Somehow it's not figured out till a later. What's going to make it right?
Mm-hmm.
What are your damages? The family member's still buried just in the wrong place, and this happens a lot. Like, what are the damages? What are you asking for? What's the remedy? How are we going to make this better? And this is a situation where I think you'd have to talk to the funeral home, the cemetery, and be like, hey, anyway, there's probably a settlement somewhere between exhuming a body and reburying it and nothing, right?
Yeah. There's a happy medium there.
Legal questions continuing on the other side. We got one more segment for you here on Judica County. Again, complimentary consults in and around estate planning or a personal injury case you're facing. If you've got questions, grab one of the consults, 919-772-7000. No cost, no obligation, 919-772-7000. Or you can visit the website wh.lawyer. Final segment, Judica County, coming up. We are back on Judica County Radio, hosted by Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, managing partners, Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, and they practice law right here in North Carolina. Offices located Raleigh, Garner, Cleveland, Clayton, Goldsboro, Fuquay-Varina, Gastonia, and down at the coast, Morehead City. I'm Morgan Patrick. Pleasure to jump on. We're going to get to a couple more legal questions. I want to remind you, we do have complimentary consults with Whitaker and Hamer through estate planning and personal injury cases. If you've got questions, grab one of the consults. No cost, no obligation. 919-772-7000. That's 919-772-7000. Or visit the website, wh.lawyer. All right, so next question up. The famous baseball card is the category. Here's the question. An estate includes a baseball card collection stored in a basement for 40 years. One card turns out to be worth $2 million. The executor sold the entire collection to a dealer for $25,000 before obtaining an appraisal. Can the beneficiaries probably sue the executor?
Do you know, I pay attention to baseball cards. And so this thing talks about how it was in the basement for 40 years. So we're recording this. It's the year 2026, right? I was in high school in the early 90s. So let's say I got a box of baseball cards from 1996. That was how many years ago? 30 years ago?
Yeah, a long time.
We'll go back to 86 to make it like this question, right? So we'll go back 1986, 40 years ago. Those cards are barely worth more now than they were then, right? Because there were so many of them produced, right? So 40 years in the baseball court, like when I was growing up, if you were 1995 and you had something that was 40 years old, right, from the 50s, that's a good card. There's probably some value there, right?
Yeah.
2026, you go back 40 years to the 80s, that card probably is not worth much more than you paid for it in 1986.
Well, I mean, but from a collector standpoint, let's say it's an oddity. Maybe it's a misprint. Maybe they're super duper rare.
There are cards out there that are, could be autographed. It could be a one. Well, they didn't really do that much back then. But anyway, it just strikes me because you would think that, right? I've saved this baseball card for 40 years and, it might be worth $3 more than what you paid for it back in the day. But anyway, here, this is kind of a play on the question we had earlier. We had that earlier question about an antique tractor that was worth $180, and they were trying to figure out how to split it. Here, the executor maybe didn't do his job, right? The executor found this baseball card collection. He took it to a dealer. The dealer looked over it and said, "Hey, I'll give you $25,000 for it." And he was like, "Hey, $25,000 for baseball cards." He took it and maybe didn't have it appraised or reviewed ahead of time. So here, the executor is probably liable, right? He sold a collection that was worth, that one card was worth $2 million. He sold the whole collection for $25,000. He's probably cost the heirs quite a bit of money. And so the executor and the executor here too is usually in most estates, the executor is an heir usually, right? It's usually one of your kids or your surviving spouse or somebody so it's hard for me to believe the executor just would have no clue, but anyway, either way, yeah, when you're an executor, that's part of your job is to figure out, what assets are worth, and kind of divvy them up here. And here the executor failed that. And a $2 million baseball card is an expensive baseball card.
That's a good card, man. You need to keep up with that hobby, that baseball card hobby, man.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, any card. I mean, Jordan rookie cards, I mean, they're going through the roof. I mean, there are examples like this. And, yeah, you would think that you would get it appraised before you do anything like just selling it in bulk to, a collector.
I will tell you, in our house, when one of my boys was real little, I let him put together how people get the binders and they put the little sheets in the binders and they put the cards in them. We made one of 90s, late 80s, early 90s Jordans. The whole binder is just Jordans. Can't find it. Don't know where it is.
Are you kidding?
Yeah, it's not the rookie card. It's not like a rookie card, but it's still.
You don't know. You might have it.
So is your new hobby beating your kids? Then is that?
I beat them once a day just to remind them that
just to
this
remind
happened.
Yeah, you need to find this.
But we can't. We got two things in my house we can't find. I have an old Sega Dreamcast somewhere, an old video game system. I can't find it. Don't know where it is. And there's a binder full of sweet Michael Jordan cards. I don't know where it is.
That's crazy.
You didn't have a yard sale you didn't know about. You didn't have decluttering you didn't know about.
It's somewhere. It's somewhere weird where like in with the Christmas decorations or something, right?
Okay.
It's just somewhere weird. But the day we find it,
know how disappointed I am in them.
The day we find it will be such a joyous day. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to turn the negative into a positive. So one day we'll just have a super awesome surprise.
Yeah,
that day is the day you die, and your son goes and pulls it out of his drawer where it's been hiding.
Compounding interest.
That's my retirement plan. We're going to find those Jordans.
There you go. All right, so final question. We'll hit this real quick. The shared driveway is the category. Here's the question. 2 neighboring homes share a driveway under a recorded easement. One owner installs an automatic gate requiring a code, claiming it improves security. The other owner objects because delivery drivers and emergency responders are delayed. Can the gate probably stay?
So this is another question where we would, there's a recorded easement. So that means there's a document that governs how this easement's going to be maintained, who has access to the easement. So we got a primary document that we can look at it and read to get a basic understanding of what the agreement was supposed to be. But it just depends, The other owner has a pretty good argument and probably should have been consulted before this was done. They share the easement. It's there. We're going to assume it's the only way in and out of the property based on this question. So the other owner has a good objection. So maybe not, right? If the owners hopefully can get together and figure this out and figure out an alternative, that's always the better way. Yeah. But I think the objecting owner could sue, probably get a temporary restraining order to keep the gate open until they figure out how they're going to handle it. And I don't know. That's a good question. When people, I don't know, man. That one's got me all confused and befuddled.
It's going to mess your week up.
Yeah, there's no easy answer to that one. That one, that's probably litigation if those 2 owners can't figure out a way to make it work.
All right, so to close out the show, Josh, just hit us with information on the consults. Again, the categories are estate planning and personal injury, and they're no cost, no obligation.
Yeah, those are the consults that we offer for free. If you listen to us on the radio show, just give us a call. We'll get you in. Estate planning is a big one. Everybody needs estate planning. And so we're happy to sit down with you and give you our advice, give you our experience. We've done tons and tons of estate planning. So free consult there. And then of course, if you've been in a car accident and if you've been injured, that's another one where we, for free, will talk to you, try to put a value on your claim, give you an idea of what the process looks like, give you some do's and don'ts, that kind of thing. So we meet with a lot of people. Our attorneys meet with a lot of people on those two matters. But those are the free consults that we offer there, Morgan.
All right, opportunity in front of you right now. Complimentary consult on estate planning, personal injury case you've got questions about. Certainly everybody needs an estate plan, and if you've been involved with a personal injury case, there are a lot of things you need to be aware of. Grab one of the consults, 919-772-7000. That'll get you in touch with Whitaker and Hamer Law Firm, and it's no cost, no obligation. 919-772-7000. You can also visit the website wh.lawyer. Another edition of Judica County is in the books. For Josh Whitaker and Joe Hamer, I'm Morgan Patrick. We'll see you on the radio next week.
Judica County is hosted by attorneys licensed to practice law in North Carolina. Some of the guests appearing on this podcast may be licensed North Carolina attorneys. Discussion on this podcast is meant to be general in nature, and in no way should the discussion be interpreted as legal advice. Legal advice can only be rendered once. An attorney licensed in the state in which you live has the opportunity to discuss the facts of your case with you. The attorneys appearing on this podcast are speaking in generalities about the law in North Carolina and how these laws affect the average North Carolinian. If you have any questions about the content of this show, you can direct such inquiry to Joshua Whitaker at jmw@mwhlaw.lawyer.